Okay. Got like a whole team of guys out here, a dozen or so. Actually, there's a couple of women, all working on these cables, which is a good thing because even though the cables have gotten better, the way that they've wired, the wiring has gotten better in Bangkok, it still has, there's still a ways to go. I mean, it's just crazy how many. I was thinking, I was sitting at the corner of Happy Land Sai Nun, basically Happy Land Road #1, and I'm sitting there at Lot Prao, where Lot Prao meets it, at the red light, and I thought, if this one pole gets hit and knocked over, if it falls down, I don't want to say it's catastrophic, but it would cause a lot of problems, not only with traffic, but obviously with whatever these cables are connected to. It would cause a little bit of trouble. So, I don't know, maybe one day they'll get everything underground, I don't know. But then the other day, it was raining so much, the internet wasn't working very well. I mean, I don't know what the answer is. Maybe they're doing the best they can, and this is all the options they have. So, anyway, I'm sitting outside of Starbucks, Lot Prao 101. This is, we're right next to Happy Condo. This is, what is it called? I think this is Happy Road or something like that. They call it something like that. So it must be a happy place. Starbucks is empty right now, pretty much empty. None of the barista from the mall are here. No, but there's nobody here. And I went in and I thought, I just want a water right now. I don't want a coffee. I have gotten, since I came at about 7:45. Since I got here, I decided I want a coffee. But when I first came in, I just wanted a water. Now, sometimes I'll bring my own because I don't want to pay 25 baht for a bottle of water that's 2/3 of the size of the water bottles that I bring, which is similar to this. It's a small water bottle. You know, just you're overpaying. So sometimes I bring a water bottle and then I'll get the coffee. But anyway, I didn't bring the water bottle, obviously. So I thought, let me just get a bottle of water. I go over, I go into my wallet. I thought, you know, 25 baht. I got 25 baht in my pocket. All right. I give him the 25 baht, and the girl says, "I'm very sorry, but we don't take cash here, sir." I said, "What?" So this is the second time it's happened at a Starbucks where they don't take cash. And I said, "Why is it that?" I asked the girl. Yeah, I mean, I'm not mad. I mean, you know, whatever. It's like, this is their policy. What are you gonna do? I mean, this is how it is here now. Everything's QR, transfer, scan. So I said, why is it that Starbucks hasn't implemented this across the board? Why is it some places, and she don't know. She doesn't know. But, you know, it's like you go into some places, oh, we take cash, yeah. Then you go to other places, no cash. So I don't get it. Not that I need to get it. Anyway, I hope everybody can hear me, see me, feel me. We got a couple of subjects to touch on today. Mainly we talked the other day about the declining number of marriages in Thailand. And it's not only in Thailand, but it's around the world. And it tends to be because women are better educated now, and they want to focus on their careers and their social standing, and they don't want to have to answer to someone, which I understand. Okay, it's understandable. You know, woman goes to university, she doesn't want some guy telling her what to do. She can and cannot do this when she's basically free to do whatever she wants. I mean, I understand it to a point. But today we're going to talk about how in the United States, more and more people, more and more men and women are becoming celibate. And I was very surprised. And thank you to Patia Bob for sending me this article. Every once in a while he sends me a really good article, and I just feel the need to go over, and this is one of those. I really wasn't sure if I was going to stream today. I'm always unsure. Almost always. I'm unsure. I thought I'd be going to Sankalbury this weekend for the Mon Festival for the bare knuckle boxing. They got bare knuckle boxing. It's not quite as high level as professional late way, where you see it in Myanmar and in some cases in the United States and elsewhere, Japan. It's not like that. It's just like temple boxing is what they call it. And there's also village boxing. They call it whatever. So it's, it's the local tough guys. And every once in a while they got a guy who's had some pro fights or whatever. But I thought I would be going to that, and I was told it was this weekend. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go on Friday morning, and that way I'll be there by Friday late afternoon. Spend the night Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday I'll go to Kanchanaburi on Sunday night, and then I'll come back on Monday. That's what I thought I was gonna do. But I thought just before I was getting ready to leave, I thought I better check and make sure that this is the person that I spoke with is correct. So I called somebody else and they said, no, it's next weekend. Then I called the person who I spoke to before, who had told me that it was this weekend, and they said, oh, yeah, it starts next weekend. So I will be in Kanchanaburi and also Sankalbury next week for about 4 days. I don't know, 4 or 5 days, something like that. And I'll be filming the bare knuckle boxing. I don't know that I'll be streaming any of it because of the time difference. Most of the people that watch the stream, hey there, carnivore. I want to call you Carnival Chronicles, but Carnivore. My shirt's getting loose there, Carnivore. It's actually, the XL is getting a little too big. And actually, I have 4 pairs of jeans. I was able to fit into one after losing a bit of weight. Now I can fit into all 4 again. And actually, my belt buckle, I've lost 2 notches on my belt buckle. So I've lost a lot. Now I gotta make sure, because I'm still pretty stout or whatever, but I gotta make sure I don't lose a lot of muscle mass. So, anyway, getting back to the fights and the Mon Festival. The Mon Festival was really cool. They take great pride in it, and all the people are partying and having a good time. And this is the area where they have the wooden bridge, which I think is something like 440, I don't know if it's meters or feet, but it's the longest wooden bridge in Thailand. I've been there before. You guys have seen some videos and some streams from before, but I checked it out, it's been 5 years since I've been there. So it's been quite a bit of time. So they have the festival going on, and I mean, like, when I say festival, the last time I was there, what I remember is the fighting was over. And I turned around and there's like vats of food being cooked. I mean, like big, huge vats of food, and they're just handing out, there's no, I don't know how they come up with the money for it, but you don't have to pay anything. They just they just throw a bunch of rice and meat on there, and there you go, buddy. Enjoy it. So it's very happy. It's a very happy time. And there's the big reservoir there, which I don't remember off the top of my head the name of it. And then there's like, I forget what it is. It's called the Wirakam or something like that. There's some temples there, and you could go out on a boat and go around, and there's like sunken, I don't know if they're temples, but it's a very cool place. There's a lot to see. So I'll get a couple of streams in when I'm there, and I'll also I should be able to get quite a bit of footage. And I don't know if I'm going to stop in Kanchanaburi yet. Quite frankly, I've been to Kanchanaburi so many times that for me, I got to have fun when I'm going. I got to like what I'm doing. And I debated on whether I should go or not. Now I want to go. I'm like, all right, I got an extra week to prepare. I really didn't want to go this weekend. So I will be going, and thank you for everybody who's helped make it possible for me to go, and who continues to help. I appreciate it. But it's a long journey if I want to do it in one day. It's about an 8-hour trip to get there, because you're not flying there. I'm either going to take a bus straight there, I can take a minivan straight there, or I can take, which probably would be more fun, I can jump on the train from Thonburi railway station, and then I can go from Thonburi to Kanchanaburi, and then from Kanchanaburi you just take a bus. It's about a 3-hour journey, and you end up in Sankaburi. And I've debated, there's a couple of places that I've thought about staying there. One was a place that I stayed before, and I don't know. I mean, I like the place. Good morning everybody who's watching. Swadee Kap, Swadee Ton Chow. I've debated on if I want to stay at the same place. I don't think I do. I want to change it up. I gotta find new places. Now, there's another place that's rather inexpensive. And by inexpensive, I'm talking about 250 to 500 baht. That's the range. Very inexpensive. I don't know that I want to stay there, because I want to be comfortable and I want to make sure that I'm in a good location. And, you know, I'm like, listen, I'm only going to be there 3 days. So if I was to spend, you know, $125 to stay there, you can get a pretty nice room for that kind of money. You know, 50 bucks a night. Say 40 bucks a night. You can get a very nice room out there. You know, I mean, very comfortable, clean, on the lake. Got a great view. You got a view of the bridge. So it should be a lot of fun. Anyway, should be fun. Now, I want to address something. I'm going to do a video about this, but I want to address something really quickly. And this is your PDA. Is that? No, PSA, not PDA. PSA announcement for the day. And most of you probably know this already, but I was also sent a TikTok video. I think it might have been from Patia Bob also. Usually I get my TikTok videos from Mr. 2QA. I'm not a big fan of TikTok, although I'm being pressured to go on TikTok. But I'm not a huge fan of it. I'm not a huge fan of the whole social media thing. I don't know why. Anyway, this guy is on, and he's talking about how he went down to Asok, where, you know, everything is at soy cowboy. He's down there, and he doesn't say that he, like, paid to get these women out of the establishment. I have to pick my words very carefully, because for some reason, YouTube has been very, very picky about my videos lately and monetizing them. Even the last one about marriage, demonetized. The last 3 things that I put up, demonetized. Anything about illicit substances, demonetized. And, you know, I have to be careful what I say. Anyway, so the guy's talking about how he goes down, he pulls out three females, and he wants to go have dinner with them. Now, I don't know why you would do this if you didn't have an agenda. supposedly, he said he doesn't have or didn't have an agenda. Okay, I understand. You know, you just want to go. You want to have, maybe you want to have a drink. Maybe you just want to have a drink. You want to like just chill out and talk to your friends or whatever it might be. But if you take a woman who is on the game, we'll say, whatever establishment it might be, and you take them out of said establishment, they are on the clock immediately. So, you know, let's say that they were going to spend the evening with you. They're on the clock. Unless you've made an agreement where there is no compensation, you are on the, they are on the clock, and you are obligated to give said compensation. So he has dinner with them. After the dinner, they said that'll be 15,000 baht. Now, who wants to pay 15,000 baht to take out 3 women for dinner that you're paying for? And then you got to give them, you know, what is that, $450? 400 something dollars? And, you know, couldn't have been more than, say, 2 hours. Now, that's just crazy. Even here, it's crazy. However, what I will say is, I mean, you know, he made a mistake, and he got out of it unscathed, aside from financially, because what happened was the ladies called the police. Now, he's a little vague. He was a little vague in the video, and I didn't take the time to message him or anything, so I'm just speaking from what I heard and what I gather, but I'm giving the what ifs. They called the police, and the tourist police showed up. Now, he said the guy spoke with a British accent. Highly unlikely that a Thai police officer, even with the tourist police, is going to speak with a British accent. Now, it could have been. However, more than likely, it was a tourist police volunteer. And while they have the ability to assist the tourist police, they don't really have any legal authority aside from assisting the Thai police. And the guy recommended, he said, listen, I think you need to negotiate something to get out of this. You're gonna have, basically, you're gonna have to pay. Now, the reality is, he doesn't have to pay a dime. Pay for the dinner so that the vendor is out of the way. As far as they go, you're not obligated to pay anything. You really don't have to. Now, you want to do something kind of ethically, then you got to pay. Now, that asking price is quite high, especially when they had dinner with you. However, he got off with paying 12,000 baht. That's 4,000 baht per human that was with him. That's quite a few dinners in Bangkok, in Thailand. That's a lot of dinners. You can eat at some nice restaurants for that. Now, how do you get out of this? He did make a mistake. There are rules to the game. He didn't know the rules to the game, thus he lost. I would say that, you know, there's always the risk. Now, if the tourist police are there and you go, I'm not paying, I don't care. And that happens sometimes. And guys have, sometimes there are serious consequences. Sometimes, you know, The females do something with Heineken bottles. Sometimes they have things hidden in their pocketbook. And the payer, the expected payer, may then be injured. I've seen it numerous times. However, seeing that the tourist police was there, or the tourist police volunteer was there, the chance of that happening probably diminishes. However, this, I think you should negotiate it. Okay, or you should take care of it. I would have said, honestly, I would have said, I paid to get, if he did not confirm that he paid to get them out, but I am going to assume that they were either out and it was late at night. Who knows if the guy was hammered or not, I don't know. I don't, you know, I can only gather so much information from what I see. But I'm curious to know what you guys would do, because what he ended up paying was far too much, okay? Far too much. There was absolutely no reason to shell out $350 or whatever it works out to, $333. There's absolutely no reason to shell out that kind of money. The only way that he should feel obligated is that if he was to do something, take them home. However, it's their time, so really he is obligated. Now, I have a hard time believing that if you go into an establishment and you ask the woman to go out and go on a date, or the women to go out and have dinner with you, especially from those said establishments on Soy Cowboy, that you don't know that you are expected to pay. Whether you are engaging in some male-female activity, or whether you are some intimate activity, or you are just having food. It doesn't matter if you take them out for lunch, if you take them to a movie. Many of them do not care, especially if you have not discussed it beforehand. They don't care. All they want is their money. If they have to walk you around, if they have to hold your hand and make sure that you don't get ripped off at Chatuchak or at the night market, and you're taking them out, it's money. You know, honey baby she's got to get paid. We all got to eat. So, my thinking is this. If he had given them less than it would have been to take them back to his room and, you know, do the nasty, get carnal with them. However, more than, you know, just a pittance, they probably would have accepted. I don't know what kind of negotiator the guy, I don't know that, you know, I don't believe he speaks any Thai, or if he does, it's very, very little. So I'm going to say, this is exactly why you need to know what you're doing if you're going to play the game. So if you're some knucklehead, I'm not saying this guy's a knucklehead, he made a mistake, you know, he'll learn from it, hopefully. But if you're some knucklehead who flies over, oh man, I'm in Bangkok, I want to go see the broads, oh, I want to see the chickies, woohoo, I'm so happy. Can't get any back home, so I'm going to get some here. Oh, I'm going to go crazy. Well, you better be careful. You better be smart. You better know the rules of the game. And I don't mean to preach, but come on. I'm not that old. I remember when I first came over, and I got shook down a couple of times, and guess what I did? I told them, no, I don't care. And then, you know, of course, I'm thinking to myself, if this girl goes to reach in her bag and she's like gonna pull out a razor, I'm ready. I gotta separate. Must have been an accident. Because Yeah, that's the meat wagon right there. Anyway, so I'm curious to know what you guys think. I'd like to know, because I want to hear what you guys have to say about it. And it's very easy, you know, in the moment, like right now, it's very easy just to go, I'm not going to pay nothing. I wouldn't give them a dime. You better know what you're doing. You better know how to get out of it. You better know your surroundings. You better know how to defend yourself a little bit. You better be prepared. And, you know, like, anytime there were any issues, you have to think to yourself. And I've said this before, everything's fun and games. You come over, oh yeah, what a party. It's so wonderful. It's so much fun. Oh my God. I'm having such a great time. We got hammered last night. Thailand's the greatest. It's the best. Yeah, it can be. But guess what? A little something gets tweaked and it's not so wonderful anymore. And then you got to figure out, what are you going to do? 3 people. He didn't invite him home. He invited him out to eat. Deer? Is that supposed to be a deer in the headlight? I gotta sneeze, man. That feels good. Okay, he's outnumbered. Who knows? I just gathered the information from the one little video. He does not look like the kind of guy that would be very skilled. Let's put it that way. That doesn't really mean anything, because if he had to defend himself, maybe he could. However, he does not look like the kind of guy who would be like, know where to position himself, know what to look for. He's not thinking about all these things. When you're a newbie, you're basically thinking, oh, what's going on? Why do they want this? I don't understand. You may not be thinking like that. So yeah, the 3 against 1. The only thing is, if it was a true tourist police officer, that would be a tie. And some of the Thais may have studied overseas. They may have a British accent because they're studying here from somebody who teaches English, and they are a Brit. You know, who knows? I don't know. And this is the thing. If he was a tourist police officer, I would have said, listen, I'm not paying. I'm not paying. Simple. And then you get up and you start walking away. If they start coming after you, you know it's on. Hopefully, the tourist police officer would stop them from getting violent. Now, if it's a volunteer, he may also stop them, or maybe he won't. You're taking a chance. And all it takes is, you know, one little X-Acto knife, something like that, and then, you know, that's it. You're changed forever. So you have to be very, very careful. And, you know, most of the time, a lot of guys have this arrogant attitude. I don't care. They're not going to do nothing to me, man. Oh, yeah? Really? Okay. All it takes is one thing. That's one little move, one little slice, and you're done. You're changed forever, like I said. So you have to be careful. You have to pay attention. And with 3 of them, obviously you run a little bit of a risk. Who knows what they're, you know, if they were tiny little Thai women, maybe you have less of a concern. Although not always, because some of them are pretty tough. But to pay as much as he paid, not a good negotiating tactic. It was too much. All right. You just go sorry, and then you gauge their response. I'm sure that they were probably not very happy. And I also think they probably looked upon him as an opportunity. So Yeah, I mean, you got to be very careful. And, like I said, I probably would have said, no, I'm not paying. And I would have gauged their response. And if it looked like it was going to get rarely violent, I probably would have looked to the police. And I would have said, listen, where is the law on this? First of all, it's illegal. If you're going to do anything with them, it's illegal. If they're going to come with you out to dinner, that does not necessarily necessitate a payment. So legally, I would think you should be able to get out of it. Now, I wouldn't go back in that establishment again if that's the stance you're going to take. But he probably could have just said, listen, here's 1,000 baht each. Goodbye. And that would have been the end of it. To them, it's about saving face, about opportunity. And, this is the kind of thing that, like I said, I don't want to keep going on about this, but this is the kind of thing that if you don't know the rules to the game, many times you're going to come out with the L. If you know the rules to the game, you have a better chance to get away without having to pay anything or with paying very little, and the outcome would be better. That's what I'll say. People who have experience, first of all, they don't do that in the first place. And they know full well, listen, I can say this from firsthand experience from many years ago, and I don't believe it's changed. You might be hungry. You ask the girl, are you hungry? Yes. Okay. You take her out to eat. You have your dinner. That dinner might cost you, let's say it costs you 1,000 baht. All right. You've already paid, the establishment. Now you paid for dinner. Then you go back and, you do the male-female thing. Thank you, YouTube. And, you might think, oh, well, I took you to a nice dinner and I took you to a movie, and why do I have to? Because that's the rule. That's how it goes. Okay, you can get away with it sometimes not paying. But I'm going to say that it's not the good way to do business. That is not the way to do business, because while they can threaten you, they can say this, they can say that. You might be gone the next day. You might be, you might be checking out in like 3 hours and you don't care. But really, it's not a good way to conduct yourself here, and it causes a lot of aggravation for people in the oh, Gennaro. That's generally true when it comes to, especially when it comes to women who are not in these establishments. However, the establishment ladies, many of them, if you're going somewhere and, she says, hey, can my girlfriend come? Okay, well, you're the one who's obligated to pay. You are not obligated to pay for them, though. You're obligated to pay for the dinner. Listen, I went to Udon Thani once, went to a party, this girl's party. This is, 28, 29 years ago, something like that. I went to this girl's party. She goes, yeah, we're going to have a party. And I said, oh, okay, great. And she said, can you help? I said, what do you mean? Well, can you buy some things and can you give some money for the party? I said, well, how much? 10,000 baht. I started thinking about it, and I thought, that's a little bit much, And I just thought, you know what, all right. And I gave it up. There's another time I went out I can remember going out to dinner with a girl in Udon Thani. And she said, I want to bring the family. I said, okay. Now, I know full well going in, it's going to cost me. And I said beforehand, listen, I only got like 3,000 baht on me. There was no QR code. There was none of that transfer stuff. There's none of that stuff. I was like, I got like 3,000 baht. She goes, this restaurant's cheap. This probably won't even cost you 1,000 baht. There were like 8 people. And I think it cost around 1,000, 1,200 baht, something like that. So it was good. But yeah, you are responsible. And many times if you are trying to establish some kind of a relationship with a non-establishment type woman, listen, my wife did it twice, 2 times in a row. We went out with 2 of my buddies and 2 of her girlfriends, and I don't know, you know, I don't know what happened to the girls or the guys. I have no idea. It's been a long time. And then one other time we went out with one of her best friends that she grew up with, and her friend had no idea that we were like hooking up. Her friend had absolutely no idea. And then I told her, I made it clear, and then she was shocked. Well, now, you know, all this time later, she knows, you know. But anyway, so it pays to know what you're doing and to know the rules of the game and all that stuff. So anyway, I haven't got into anything yet really with the article, but it is currently 76 degrees, high at 90, low of 74, feel like temperature is 80. The Thai baht is 34.45, which is down a little bit from the last stream. Air quality is 86, which is moderate. But let me tell you, coming over on the motorcycle, whew. Come over on the motorcycle and, you know, there's buses everywhere and it's just, it's too much, you know. I don't know what we're going to do. I have no idea, but man, I desperately want to get out of Bangkok. Visibility 22 kilometers, winds 10 kilometers an hour to the west. You should be able to tell that it is cloudy. It's been raining every single day for the past 3-4 days, and fairly hard enough to where, you know, you're going to go to work and it's you got to pay for the door-to-door service so you don't get too wet. If you're one of these people who's going to be, you know, you got to go to the bus station, you got to walk down the street, go to the bus station, and then from the bus station walk, you know, a couple of blocks to your job, or, you know, you got to go somewhere and you're going to walk for a while. You don't want to do that. You want to wait until the rain lets up, even with an umbrella, because it's been raining fairly hard here. So, now, I also want to give a shout out to Mr. Andy Stubbs, Mr. Andy Travel. He is currently in the PI, enjoying himself. I suspect that's why he's not in the streams right now. So I hope he's having a good time. I'm sure he is. And then he'll be back here shortly. Thank you to the guy the other day who got the shirt, who actually lives fairly close to me, which I didn't know. And the other guy who got the Marvin Hagler hat. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Always helps. So do me a favor, if you haven't already, remember to subscribe if you like the channel, and also the streams. I've been saying I have a bunch of videos to go up, but I do have quite a few videos that are going to be going up. And what's going to happen is all of a sudden they're just going to be coming one after another. There's going to be some members videos. There's going to be video from Ho Chi Minh, videos from Chiang Mai, videos from, where's the other place? There's another place. And then we're going to have by that time, I'll be in Sangkhlaburi, streaming in Sangkhlaburi, and we got Sangkhlaburi videos, and so there's a lot of stuff going on. Anyway, today's subject. I guess in America, things are a lot worse than I thought, because, man, some of these statistics that this woman is writing about, and her name is Magdalene J. Taylor. She is a writer covering sex and culture. I like her attitude in this article, but the statistics I do not like, okay? And what I forgot is also leave a thumbs up if you don't mind. Check down in the description. Visit my website. I had a little bit, sorry to get off the track before I got started again, but yesterday I accidentally deleted a page and I wasn't able to restore it for some reason, which I don't understand in this day and age why that's not possible, because I know like on Squarespace you can restore a page if you delete it, but on my host it's not possible. And so I'm rebuilding that portion, but I got a lot more stuff's been going up, and the website's only going to get better, and the same with the merch, and you know, it's going to take me a little bit of time. It might take me 6 months to get it up to where I'm happy with it. But it's in an AmericanInBangkok.com, and there's all kinds of ways you can help support the channel, which I'd really appreciate. Just go down. You just go down in the description, and there's many ways. Well, if that's the case, that's the case. Doesn't make a difference to me, really. One way or the other, I'll be all right, and I'll do whatever's necessary. But honestly, I find that a little hard to believe, because there's too many people that are here. One thing that, you know, if you know anything about the whole Thai vlogging scene and the travel scene and all this, and this is why I don't want to watch people. I don't watch, I mean, I have a buddy that sends me, he'll go, this channel is really good, you might want to look at them. And it's not always related to Thailand, it's related to other places in the world. He's like, you might like this format or whatever. And I go, oh, yeah, all right, I'll check it out. But there's a lot of people that come here and they're like, oh yeah, man, I'm living in Thailand. They stay for 3 months and then they're gone. So what are they gonna do? The people are here, they've been here a couple of weeks, they're posting videos, they're posting content, and the government's going to go after them because they're gone. And then what are they going to do? They're just going to, you know, approach all the people who are doing it now. I don't think it's going to happen. But if it did happen, that's all right. It's a media thing, you know, so it's not a problem. But still, to this day, really the only people, I mean, you know, it's just, this goes on all the time. What I'm going to say about Thailand and about all the things that they do, and about something like corruption, where they're so proud that they went up in the corruption ratings, and yet all these problems have been happening lately related to corruption, is that much of what transpires here is about the perception. Give the perception we're cracking down. Give the perception that we won't allow this, or we never allow that. Give the perception that when it comes to human rights, hey, we're all over it. Give that perception. Now, sometimes they actually follow through, and sometimes they don't. Many times they don't. You know, so that's something to consider. Anytime you think about Thailand, you know, it's like, okay, for the next couple of weeks, they're going to crack down, and then it goes back to normal. And you know, I've said it for a long time. One way or another, my family and I are going to be fine. We don't tend to worry a lot about the big picture. We just think about what we need to do today, and you know, in the near future. And I think that's what most people should do. And I think that would serve them well. And also, like I said, you know, something else is that Thailand gets a lot of publicity from all the videos, and I mean, you think about it, the whole YouTube scene is and has been done to death. You know, what do you do for, you know, there are people, and I know people who do this for a living, and I'm not talking about YouTube, but they go abroad and they film hours and hours and hours of content in a place, and it's all guerrilla-like. They just do it on the sly, or they do it openly. Nobody says anything. Then they go back, they edit everything, they put out some movie or some documentaries, or they put out clips or whatever it might be. So, and you know, what are you going to do? So, you know, it is what it is. We'll see. Anyway, this article, let me get into this, because I've gone on 45 minutes here and I haven't talked about any of it. Now, I'm gonna need my glasses. Like I said, I like this woman's attitude in this article, maybe because she likes to have a lot of sex, but sex is good, sex is healthy, sex is an essential part of our social fabric, and you, specifically, should probably be having more of it. Not me. I don't need more of it. I'm fine. Americans in the midst of a loneliness epidemic, and the loneliness, it's not so much the sex, although the sex is part of it, but the loneliness aspect and the change in the mindset of men, which has taken me a while to really see just how bad it is. But this is what I'm really talking about, is the loneliness. Americans are in the middle of a loneliness epidemic and are not having enough sex. Across almost every demographic group, American adults, old and young, single and coupled, rich and poor, are having less sex than they have had at any point in the last 3 decades. That's crazy. Sex isn't the sole form of fulfilling human interaction, and certainly isn't a solve for loneliness in all forms. No, it's not. Still, it should be seen as a critical part of our social well-being, not an indulgence or an afterthought. Yeah, it shouldn't be. This is in large part because the rise in loneliness closely parallels a decline in sex. So maybe more sex equals less loneliness. Less sex, you know, it's like that. More than a quarter of Americans haven't had sex even once in the past year. The last time the General Social Survey asked, in 2021. 25% of Americans have not had sex in the past year. This is the highest level of sexlessness in the survey's history. That figure includes almost 30% of men under 30. 3 out of 10 men under 30 are not having sex, a figure that has tripled since 2008. Now let's take that in. That's 15 years. 15 years, it's tripled. In the 1990s, about half of Americans were having sex weekly or more. That figure is now under 40%. I still find that to be weekly. That's 4 times a month. That's nothing, come on. For many who are having sex, the frequency has dropped precipitously. And it's not just sex. Partnership and cohabitation are down too. Less time spent with friends and lovers. These aren't distinct issues, but symptoms of the same cultural malaise, an isolation that is demolishing American social lives, love lives, and happiness. Now, when I first heard about all this, I kind of thought, well, maybe it has to do with the quality of the man. Maybe the man's not good looking enough. Maybe he's socially awkward. Maybe, you know, he's got a little dingle. Maybe he just doesn't have a clue. That's what I thought initially. But now I don't really believe that. And I believe that it's very risky to get involved with a woman in the United States. It's risky anywhere, but it's riskier in the United States. And I think it's really grown to now it is definitely a cultural problem. Estimates vary, but somewhere between 1/3 and 2/3 of Americans report being lonely. Loneliness exists on a feedback loop. Fraying cultural bonds, damaged physical health, and reduced social contact both exasperate loneliness and are exasperated by it, to the point that loneliness lowers life expectancy. Loneliness is a challenging phenomenon for researchers to quantify, but there are telltale signs, and they point to a society losing its way. The number of Americans who report having no close friends at all has quadrupled since 1990, according to a Survey Center on American Life study. An average American in 2021 spent 58% less time with friends than in 2013, the Census Bureau found. Now, that has to have something to do with social media. It has to. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it. Sex once a week? Man, that's not enough. I mean, if you're a single guy and you don't have a girlfriend, okay, maybe I can relate. Hey, you know, that's a good thing. You go out on the weekends and, you know, get a little something, something. All right. You know, it helps alleviate a little stress and on to the next. But from what this is saying, this is not a good trend. And you wonder why men come over here and they go nuts? You wonder why tourism is so strong? Well, why would the pandemic have anything to do with it? Think about that. I mean, okay, if you're sick, it's rough out there. Listen, I heard something. I read something, actually. Now, I don't know if you guys know, many of you may know already, and I do have this article up on my website because I was very saddened by this. But the kid who was the head of the Wild Boars, who was the football team that got trapped in the cave 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago. The captain of the team, he got a scholarship to go to this football academy in the UK. Apparently he had a head injury, somehow he hit his head, he fell, whatever. I'm not sure because they're not sure. They're doing an autopsy on him. And he went to his room, I guess he's in a dorm room, and he went to sleep and never woke up. Passed away. Very, very sad. The kid's 17 years old. Now he made it out of the cave. Can you imagine this? He made it out of the cave. Welding. They're welding over here. He made it out of the cave. And then only to have a head injury and life is cut short. And what I read was from one of the divers he was like one of the lead divers. And I think it's a very appropriate response. And it bears remembering. And I know it might sound a little bit extreme or whatever, but really you need to remember it at all times and know it's not life is cheap. Life is cheap. You know, I used to think, oh, well, life is cheap in certain countries. No, it's cheap everywhere. The bottom line is the people that are around you, your family, your friends, they may be the only ones that care about you. So if something happens to you, it's like, oh, Joe's gone. Yeah, it sucks. Everybody around him, you know. And so this guy said life is cruel. And it is. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter how much money you have, where you come from. Doesn't matter if it's a little skirmish between a couple of women from some club. It doesn't really matter what it is. It's still cruel. Generally, life doesn't play favorites. And obviously, you know, if you're not even getting any, I can see where there's a lot of guys who they're angry with life in the U.S. and there's one guy in particular, I'm not going to mention his name, but man, he's got a couple of videos up on his channel. I took a look once, just in passing, and man, he was angry about life in the U.S. I mean, angry to the point where I was like, it's too much. So let me go on here. COVID-19 has contributed to the spike in loneliness and the decline in sex, but it is only partially responsible. Now, if you're both at home, if you got this stay-at-home thing, why aren't you having more sex instead of less? Oh, we're so stressed out. We're staying inside and we're so stressed out by this. I understand you might be stressed out, but that's the reason to have sex. Relieve the tension, relieve the stress. Between 2014 and 2019, the decrease in time people spent with friends was greater than it was during the pandemic. And during the pandemic, many Americans spent more and more time alone with neither friends nor romantic partners. That ain't the case with me and my family. We spent a lot more time together, which for the most part was great. Younger Americans are infamously less likely to have sex than their parents' generation, and when they do have sex, they're doing it with fewer partners. Okay. I'm going to say two things. Social media, gaming, video games, social media. Video games, social media. Video games, social media. Smartphones, so that's three things. Smartphones, video games, social media. You know, there still are times now where I turn my phone off for a couple of hours. I'm like, you know what? There's nothing really that important that's going to happen. I'm going to turn it off. A lot of married couples have hallway sex. Need I ask what that is, hallway? Is it sex in the hallway? So this lady writes, in my work as a writer covering sex and culture, I've spoken to dozens of men for whom lack of sex is the defining characteristic of their daily life. That sucks. Seriously. That should not be something you have to worry about. I mean, obviously, everyone cannot have sex all the time. If we did, the world would probably be a better place. How many guys have you met that are totally angry, that are having sex on a regular basis? Like, I'm talking about, they're having it their girlfriend's giving it to them every day. How angry are they? You know, I don't know, that's my solution. More sex, and if you want more ganja, you know, if that's what you're into, maybe the world would be a better place. Be healthier. I would say that's a big one too. Because I know I feel better when I'm in shape, or when I'm in better shape, than I do when I'm out of shape. I mean, I'm talking about physically. And, you know, emotionally, yeah, sometimes I get irritated and I'd be like, I can't do this, I can't do. I'd focus on the negative instead of the positives. You know, why can't I do that? Well, because you can't. Because you're 60 years old. You know, you can't do what you did when you were 20, or you can, and you do it a little slower, a little less intensely, and that's the way it goes. You know, sometimes you just have to go, hey, it is what it is. All right, let me get back to this. Some are incels, short for involuntary celibates, believers in a toxic, misogynistic ideology, but more are not. Some believe the pursuit of sex will be entirely futile. You know, I guess maybe because it's never been entirely futile for me, even when I was in the States. That was a different time then, obviously. It's 3 decades ago, almost 3 decades ago. I can't relate to that. But I know that there are some people that, yeah, they have a problem with it. And I knew a guy, and he was a good friend of mine. And nicest guy, extremely nice guy. You know, he's very, very friendly, sociable, just a nice guy. Wasn't the greatest looking guy. He was a bit on the chubby side. And I'll go as far as to say a little bit fat. But a hell of a nice guy. Man, I don't think I've ever heard of the guy having a woman. Now, I talked to him last time I talked to him was about 20 years ago. And, I asked, got a woman? Nope. I got a buddy that I talk about sometimes. He's in Reno. And he tells me, I don't want to get involved with any of the women here because they either have gambling problems or they have a problem with drugs. He's like, it's really hard to find a good one here with her head on straight. And then if you're going to get into a relationship with them, it's full on. And, if you're a little bit older, then that means taking on their issues. Now, they may have to take on your issues. But we're not worried about them now, are we? I mean, you should think to yourself, well, what do I have that, to entice, what do I have to entice a woman? Do I have a big schmackle? Am I extremely fit? Extremely handsome? Am I a great talker? Am I funny? Do I have a combination of any of those? Do I have big dough? You know, big dough overcomes a lot because it means success. Now, you may be a knucklehead who got lucky. Plenty of guys out there like that, and I've seen and talked to several people who have extremely big dough. I'm talking they're multimillionaires. And they just are like, listen, I don't want anything to do. I don't want a relationship. I don't want nothing to do with it. That's not to say that they don't have sex, because they have sex, but, you know, it might cost them, or it might mean they have to do certain things to help to make it worthwhile for the woman, you know, aside from physically. So let me go on. In turn, they begin to interpret going out, spending less time with friends, and meeting new people as futile too. This thinking becomes cyclical. Soon they are not only afraid of failing to find a sexual partner, but they also grow to fear even platonic social interactions. Sex is only one component of their overall isolation, but in many cases, the one upon which the overall problem hinges. Now, what I will say is that I definitely think social media has a lot to do with this. I've stated for a long time that one thing I really don't like is when you're walking through a mall or you're walking somewhere, doesn't matter where it is, market, whatever, and you got somebody on their phone going like this and they're walking along. They don't see you, they don't see the outside world. It's like, dude, pull over. It's like operating a vehicle, a motor vehicle. It's like, okay, you got Grab drivers who got the little thing that, you know, they got the little clamp that they put their video, they put their phone up and they got their, you know, the map up and everything, and they have to look down a little bit, or they just look a little bit and they can figure everything out. But if you're walking along, just imagine you're walking along and it's just like you're on the road. You're walking around, there's all kinds of people around, you're looking at your phone. You're not looking where you're going. Now, not only could you trip and fall and hit your head, not only could you trip and fall and, you know, destroy somebody's little stall, or fall and get hurt or hurt somebody else, but also you aren't paying attention to what's going on in the outside world. So if you're not paying attention to the outside world when you're outside, which is the most important place you really need to pay attention. When you're at home, you lock your door, yeah, you got a little ear just in case. Oh, what's that noise? You know, oh, maybe somebody's breaking in. There's the baseball bat, right? Yeah, okay. But for the most part, that's your haven. You know, okay, I can relax. I can go to sleep. But when you're out walking around, you got people walking around in front of you. You got big people, small people, old people. You got old women walking around. Some guy's like, let me look at my phone. Why don't you sit down? Listen, that's why I always would go to Starbucks when I go to the mall. When I'm not streaming, I go to Starbucks. I sit down. Because you know what? I'm sitting there going, okay, I know I need a few things to get from the grocery. Do I want to make a list here? Nah. I'll stop at Starbucks. And I'll stop at Starbucks. Maybe I won't get anything. Maybe I'll get a water. Maybe I'll get a coffee. But I sit down. I usually have a piece of paper. I wrote, even on here, I wrote, I need some more butter. I need some batteries. I need maybe an avocado if they have some decent avocados. Man, the prices are going up at the grocery. I mean, up and up and up. I talked about the Indian butter curry. I think I talked about that, or I know I sent messages out. But the Indian butter curry that you can get, it's a boxed curry, but it's very, very good. And my kids love it. They just throw it over rice. It's great. I'm tired. The wife's tired. She doesn't want to cook anything. But I have some Indian curry. You know, get them some sandwich meat or something like that. But all that stuff has gone up. The Indian butter curries went up about 25% in the last 2 weeks. There is no more 79 baht milk that's 2 liters. It's 95 baht now. And that's happened really in the last year. Anyway, so, you know, it pays to be alert when you're outside, because Listen, I was in the mall there. I don't know if you guys remember. Some of you might remember. I was in the mall, and the kitchen caught on fire in MB. What is it called? MK Sushi. The kitchen caught on fire. The whole mall was evacuated, and I smelled the smoke. I was like, "Holy moly, man! I gotta get the hell out of here. I don't want any mad dash for the door and I get trampled, or I gotta." Step on some old woman when I'm going out the door. I don't want anything like that to happen. I don't want to pull a George Costanza. So you got to be alert. And then what about, you're walking down the street and you're like, blah, 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 blah. Some wrecking ball comes swinging back and forth and you're like in La La Land looking at your phone. So it pays to pay attention. It pays to mind your P's and Q's. All right, it's easy to brush off these men as anomalies, which I did in the beginning, I admit, or to label or state as a result of personal failings or even the consequences of modern masculinity. But while much of the research around the decline in sex focuses upon young men, almost every group of Americans is experiencing the absence of sex, and the consequences are profound. If a lack of sex is affecting the cultural and social participation of these young men, it is likely affecting the rest of us too. A lack of sex can easily translate into less socialization, fewer families, and a sicker population. Sex reduces pain, relieves stress, improves sleep, lowers blood pressure, and strengthens heart health. So the next time your wife says, "I got a headache," you go, "Honey, this reduces pain. We have sex, it reduces pain, relieves stress, improves sleep, lowers blood pressure, and strengthens the heart health. You really want to be healthy, don't you?" Writers like myself have made male sexlessness a well-known issue, even as women are in the same bind. Data from the General Social Survey actually suggests they may be having even less sex than men. In 2021, roughly a quarter of women under 35 reported having no sex in the past year. For men, the figure was 19%. And women who are having sex are less likely to be happy with the sex they're having. Maybe because the guys aren't having it as much, they're less experienced, and they don't know what the hell they're doing. I don't know. Both men and women report feelings of regret and unhappiness following casual sex, but it's more common among women, probably in part because of cultural perceptions of sexual autonomy. Sex can bring people together, but that only works when it's good sex. Not only are women and men marching together in sexlessness. That sentence is so crazy. Men and women are marching towards sexlessness together. They're also on the same road to loneliness. Young women are more likely than men to report losing touch with friends during the pandemic. And a British study found that women were more likely than men to report feeling lonely often or always. Reporting often focuses on young male sexlessness and on incel ideology. But the decline in sex and rise in loneliness and social isolation are not male problems. In the 21st century America, loneliness is essentially omnipresent. And the high schooler cliche fear that everyone else is having sex has never been less true. Wow. So imagine if you're some high school kid, your hormones, your testosterone's, it's spiking, baby. You need a little something, something. And you can't even get a girl that like wants to use Rosie in the, Rosie Palm. Again, being careful what I say. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's really changed a lot since I was in high school, which has been a long time, 45 years, 44 years. It's kind of scary. I'm interested. I know that probably nobody is going to admit this, but I'm wondering how many people on this stream are not having sex, and also how many have relegated themselves and have decided that they will not have any sex simply because they don't want to get involved with American women. Now, I know there's at least one person, and I'm not going to mention his name, and that's out of choice because there's always Thailand. There's always places where things have not transpired the same way as in the United States. I don't want to say that I wanted to a shrink to analyze my dreams. She says it's lack of sex that's bringing me down. I went to a host. She said, well, my life's a bore, so quit my whining because it's bringing her down. Oh, God. Well, when you're not having enough of it, you're constantly, well, I don't know, maybe the older folks are not, but when you're not having enough of it, you're constantly thinking about when you're going to have it again. When you're having it, you don't worry about it. Listen, I haven't had to worry about it for about, honestly, probably 35 years. I have not had to worry about it. I've always had a girlfriend or some chick that was, you know, there were benefits, or here in Thailand, you know, I've run the gamut. And then, of course, I've been married, and, you know, I think we were very clear about our expectations in the beginning. And so there's none of that. There's none of that Americanism going on, even though I'm an American in Bangkok. So, one more time, go visit my website, AnAmericanInBangkok.com. Get yourself a hat, get yourself a mug, get yourself a t-shirt. Everything that you purchase goes into this channel. And the number of sales that I've had in the last week have basically helped to get me to Sankabure. So I really appreciate it, and you know, I'll continue to appreciate it. It's the fuel that runs the engine. Super chats, super thanks, Patreon, my website, what else? Whatever else is in the description. All that stuff helps. The books, my books. Don't forget about my books. I know there's some of you out there, some newbies out there. You want, you know, there's 2 books. I think if you read them both, you get a much better insight to what you should and should not do. And it's not by me trying to teach, although in the first one I do kind of preach a little towards the end, but altogether, there you go, Gennaro. Altogether, I think if you read some of what, at least you read one of the books, you'll learn a little something about the culture here. If you're really that interested, and you really are, some people, they come here, they don't care. They just don't care. You know, they go to, maybe they move to Pattaya or Chiang Mai. They don't care about the culture. They just care about, can they get along? Oh, okay, you know, you say cup at the end, you say ka at the end, or whatever it might be. You know, that's about the limit. I know guys that have been here for years and years, they don't speak but maybe 2 words of Thai, and that's it. And to me, I don't understand that. I think you really need to, you gotta live here. Why not understand where you live? Understand how things operate so that you know the rules of the game, just like I was speaking about earlier. All right, let me finish this up here. There is no one solution. The loneliness epidemic has been brought about by a myriad of factors that have been exacerbated over decades. Social media, thank you, is one culprit. The 20th century's war of attrition against walkable communities is another. I didn't think of that, but you know, in the United States, there's a lot of places where you're not able to walk around, and your communities are more spread out. I think back in the day, even when I was a kid, I knew all the neighbors. I said hello, Mr. Petronelli. Hello, Mr. Bardsley. Hello, so-and-so. I knew everybody. Every time you saw them out there mowing their yard or walking out to their car and you're walking by, I'd be walking the dog. Hello, how you doing? And they knew a little bit about you. Now it's like, I don't think that's as, you know, I don't think that is happening as often. But as loneliness has accelerated, it has become self-perpetuating. Our current societal loneliness and sexlessness is a result of social and cultural shifts, while its continuation perpetuates those shifts further. And these are some of the reasons why men are saying, man, now that I think about it, I can work abroad. I can live abroad. I can do things differently. And you can. That's the truth. The loneliness epidemic may be a societal issue, but it can be solved, at least partly, at the level of individual bedrooms. Those of us in the position to be having more sex ought to be doing so. Okay, I agree. Here is the rare opportunity to do something for the betterment of the world around you that involves nothing more than indulging in one of humanity's most essential pleasures. Listen, if you got a girlfriend and you're married, or you're married, not you've got a girlfriend and a wife, if you're married, or you have a girlfriend, or you have somebody that you got a little friend with benefits, or whatever it might be, why shouldn't you be? You're a little, you had a long day at the office, you're a little stressed out, knock it out, do your thing. Having more sex is both personal guidance, your doctor might well agree, and a political statement. Now, I don't particularly like that, but I do believe that it has become one. American society is less connected, made up of individuals who seem increasingly willing to isolate themselves. Having more sex can be an act of social solidarity. Now, something else that I did not think about, but I just thought about, the people willing to isolate themselves. Not only is it social media and video games, but how about the adult industry, adult websites, and that kind of thing. For the guys who are incels, they just go, hey, what do I need a chick for? I got all the chicks I need online. So I used to hear this thing about, oh, should you watch, should you not watch? And one of the things that was said was, and this is by a doctor, she said something to the effect of, if it becomes a problem where you don't want to interact with someone else, then it is indeed a big problem. If it stops you from interacting, you just go, what do I want to engage with somebody else? What do I want to interact with someone else, whether, you're having a sexual relationship or not? And I do understand wanting to be in the bubble kind of and not go out and interact and get out. But for me, it's not so. It has nothing to do with sex or anything, or loneliness or anything like that. It's about, you hear what's going on in the background. It's about things like this. You hear the traffic in the background. You see the pollution. It's very, very busy. So, there you go. Very, very polite, smiling, give me a little wave. So, I can relate in one way, but in another way, no, because it's not going to stop me. It wouldn't stop me from going out because, I don't want to try to get a little something. Gennaro, you're it's funny that you're very quiet now. I start asking questions like, what's going on? And, Gennaro becomes somewhat silent. Not everyone who wants to have more sex is easily capable of doing so. Disabilities, religious objections, asexuality, and any set of day-to-day restrictions and responsibilities curtail or close off sex for many. Well, you always hear about, the husband or the wife or the guy or the woman, they're constantly at work, they never can fit it in. I'm just too tired, usually that's the woman. I'm so tired. And, my wife works, she's tired sometimes, but, we have a there is an understanding between us that, you know, there's certain times when you push and certain times when you don't push. And maybe that's the wrong word, but you got to be somewhat understanding of a person's situation. But then again, you're a man, they're a woman. Whoever thinks that women don't need it either, obviously they're wrong, at least according to this survey from this, what is it called? The General Social Survey. I have to look at that because it's pretty interesting. There may be some who simply do not want to have more sex or any sex at all. But even those who won't have more sex should avoid apathy. What is this? The letter B is, oh. Sex is intrinsic to a society built on social connection. And right now, our connections and our sex lives are collapsing alongside each other. And I would say, if that's really the case, that's pretty damn sad. And I do believe it. And I do believe now the guys and all these guys who are, they're jumping on the bandwagon of, you know, the MGTOW, the incel, the this, the that, you know. But I would say, just like anything else in life, don't give up. You know, it's a game of numbers. If you go out, you know, once a month, yeah, maybe you get lucky. You're going out every weekend, you might have more chances to get lucky. I don't know. I mean, you know, I look at it that way. It is a game of numbers. There's always going to be people. It doesn't matter. You could be the most handsome guy. There's some girl out there going, yeah, he's really handsome, but I don't want to deal with that because I know he's so handsome that there's going to be so many other women. He's always going to be tempted. He's probably going to cheat on me. And oh my God, why do I need that? I'd rather have a nice looking guy and then he won't cheat on me. And you know, it goes on and on. So there's somebody for everybody. I do believe that. Anyway, let me read on here. Many people, like some of the young men I've spoken to in my work, have resigned themselves to displacing their sexual desires. Don't do that. Relying entirely on the adult sites or other online stimuli, mirroring so many types of relationships that have been subsumed in the digital world. As a balm for loneliness, digital sex can be little better than a digital friendship, a source of envy, resentfulness, and spite, a driver of loneliness rather than a cure for it. It's no match for the real thing. Well, man, I've been saying that for like years. Why do you want to watch it when you can actually have it and do your own thing? So anyone can, I like this last line. Anyone, any capable person should have sex as much as they can, as pleasurably as they can, as often as they can. So clearly this woman is having lots of sex. I don't know how old she is, what she looks, I have no idea. But doesn't matter. She's getting hers. So there you are. That's a New York Times article. I think it's quite good, and I think it's quite telling. And like I said, there's those factors, the online adult sites, there's the social media, the smartphone, you know, I think all of these things, and also the pressure. In the United States, there's always that pressure to, you know, compete, get ahead, get your career. Don't worry about anyone else, you know, don't worry about having a relationship. And that's the work-life balance, which tends to be better here in Thailand, and that's a proven fact, at least in scientific data, somewhat scientific data that I've seen. It's a fact that the work-life balance here is better than in the U.S. So, you know. And it's so funny that Gennaro, of all people, you know, you're a single man. I'm kind of wondering, are you getting yours? Or are you one of these men who is like sitting back going, well, I'm waiting to come over to Thailand. Dude, you make no sense. There is no such thing as an immortal, okay? So please, don't come in here with that garbage. Be a realist. Anyway, it's a nice balmy day today. I don't think it's going to rain, at least until later on in the afternoon. And the air quality is still moderate in Chiang Mai and up in that area. Apparently the dust is starting to settle because of the rain, and so the air quality is a bit better, which, you know, can't complain about that. I don't know that, you know, when I came here this morning, there's a Grab driver sitting at this table, and I was going to sit in my spot that I usually sit in, but he was sitting directly across, so I didn't want to sit directly across from him because he had all of his stuff. He was drinking a tea or something. He's got a couple bottles of water. He's got a charger. He's got a jacket on the back of a chair, and he got up and he just left everything sitting there. I don't know if they're his, or maybe this is his little home base and he just figures nobody's going to steal anything. But like, before I leave, I'm going to go in and go, hey, you know, I don't know if you know, but this guy's got his stuff here. Maybe you should, but, you know, probably no one will steal it. That's how they are here. You can leave a motorcycle helmet on the motorcycle, not locked up. Most of the time, they're not going to steal it. I actually left my computer at the Happy Land Center at the food court. I had my computer around the back of the chair. And, you know, I just forgot about it. I got up, I go all the way home on the Songtao, and I thought, oh, I left my computer. I mean, this is right when I got home. I go, oh, I forgot my computer. I ran outside, grabbed a motorbike taxi, sped back to the center, Happy Land Center, walked in, still sitting there on the chair. I was like, thank you. Thank you, Thailand, for, you know, not thieving. So, anyway, I'm curious to know. I really would like to know what you guys think about this change, this dwindling frequency of male-female intimacy, interaction, jiggy. I'm curious to know. I'm curious to know how many of you are like, listen, you know, I go for 6 months out of the year, I go stay in Thailand, and then I'm here, and, you know, maybe once or twice I might have my fun, but for the most part, no. Or I am moving to Thailand, or I live in Thailand, I don't have that problem. Most of the people that I know that live in Thailand don't have this problem. And, you know, there is a guy that's a friend of mine who told me once that he might have it with his wife once a month. And I was like, once a month? I was like, dude, come on. He's like, she just doesn't do it for me anymore. I was like, well, that's a problem. That's a problem. It's not only a physical thing, but it's also a mental thing you got to overcome, a barrier. She doesn't really, you know, she doesn't do it for you. And, you know, sometimes it's the opposite. But, you know, I told him, I said, man, you need to work on that. And they're not together anymore. So, there you go. Anyway, let me give you a look here where we are as we close out this stream. If anybody has any questions, comments, please let me know. Like I said, do me a favor, leave the thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff. Next week, beautiful Sankaburi. It's gonna happen. I'm happy about that. There's still that other place that I want to go in Sukhothai. And then there is a chance I will be going somewhere next month with the wife. We may take a little journey. I'm not sure yet. It'll be a couple days before I find out, but either we're gonna go or I'm gonna go, but there's a chance. And all I'm gonna say is it's out of my comfort zone. It is not a place in Southeast Asia. And then we did get my kids' passports, which are quite a bit different than even my passport. So we will be going back to the States in about, let me see here, this is February, about 3 months. That's not our generation, but it is becoming more relevant with each new generation until it becomes non-existent. You know, I heard something about how now it's only really the top tier guys who are getting any. And the women all expect, and I'm talking about all kinds of women that they're not going to get any top tier guys, and they end up angry as well, and then they have no sex. Instead of thinking to themselves, hey, this guy's a nice guy. He's really good to me. And, you know, I'm kind of attracted to him. He's kind of cute. You know, I saw, listen, I told you guys I've watched some of this Real World show, which I used to watch, I don't know, when it first started, which was like 40 years ago. And it just happened to be on Netflix, and I saw a little trailer. I go, let me watch this. Well, one of the seasons that's on there has this woman, and how can I say this being polite? First of all, she got into a fight with one of the guys. A physical, she actually was, let's see here. There was a dog living in the house. It was not her dog. The dog apparently took a dump right in front of the computer. She stepped in it. She made a big deal about it. And she went and washed her feet off or whatever, and she complained about the doo-doo. And the guy who owned the dog, or the girl who owned the dog, the guy was her boyfriend, and he said, why don't you clean it up? You stepped in it, why don't you clean it up? You smushed it all around, why don't you clean it? She's like, it's not my dog. Well, if it's not your dog, then leave my dog alone. Now, that's a bit extreme, because he really should have, it's his dog, he's responsible. You know, his and his girlfriend's dog, they're responsible. They should have cleaned it up. This girl they told her, if you don't want to help out with the dog, because this has become a house dog. Everybody loved the dog. This has become a house dog. Now, this is how much things have changed. In my day, this was a rarity. Now, I see it all the time online. I don't even like going to Twitter because all I see is these kind of things. And so he said to her, and they said collectively, don't mess with our dog. And she said, well, if the dog comes over to me, I'm going to let him sleep with me. I'm going to do whatever I want, blah, blah, blah. She was pushing their buttons, which she didn't have to do. She was an arrogant twat, okay? Demonetization, excuse me. But she was arrogant. And she was pretentious, as could be. And she didn't have a reason to be. Anyway, long story short, she starts mouthing off to the guy's girlfriend, that was her dog. The boyfriend had enough. He walked over to her and he said, hey, you know, you need to stop this. Oh, well, thank you. I don't know. I didn't know you were gifted a membership. I didn't see anything. Capio, I didn't see anything of you being gifted, but great. I don't know if you were using a different name or I don't know. Doesn't matter, but thank you to whoever it was who gifted a membership. I appreciate that. I remember that a couple of weeks ago, somebody gifted a membership to like 5 people. So that was great. But anyway, let me go on here. Was it Carnivore who did it? I didn't think it was Carnivore. Maybe Carnivore did. I don't know. I don't see anything, or I can't see it. And I thought it was somebody else, but it could have been him. Oh, 5 minutes ago, a few minutes ago. Oh, well, thank you. I don't see anything yet. I haven't seen anything, so thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you very much, Carnivore. I can't see it on my screen for some reason. Usually it pops up. Anyway, I appreciate that. This is a short month. So anyway, the guy says something to her, and then he goes into the bathroom. You know, I don't know, he's taking a leak or whatever. He comes out, and she starts mouthing off, so he mouths off to her. Now, this is a chick who had been causing problems in the house all the time. She was a angry woman, we'll say. He walks by, and she starts punching him. I mean, full on swinging on him. And she was a big woman. She wasn't, you know, she was like a 6-foot woman, like, you know, like a volleyball player type. Big, pretty strong woman. She's wailing on him. He just covers up, turns around, and tries getting away. And when that happens, the girl who was his girlfriend, who was smaller, runs over and starts just clocking her in the face. I was like, holy moly, she knows how to throw a punch. And then they start to break it up. And this woman is so... to me, I cannot forgive these kind of things. She's so out there that what happens is she's saying she said it to like three or four people. I'm going to end you. I'm going to end you. I'm going to end... Listen, honey, don't talk. Just do it. You don't need to talk. Because I was thinking to myself, if that was me, I would not have turned my back. I wouldn't have turned my back. Because she was full on punching him in the face. He didn't throw on her. He didn't do anything. He just was walking away. She just came up and started punching him. Uncalled for. And in this day and age, people should know better. That's how you get killed. It's really uncalled for. Anyway, the girlfriend starts punching her. They get into a big thing. They get separated. She says, so I'm not done with this. They may think that this is over, but it's not over. So the girlfriend's sitting there, she's doing her hair and doing her makeup, and you know, she had been upset. Everybody was upset. So she's starting to get ready to like go out or whatever. This girl walks up from behind her. There's a big woman. And the woman full on punches her in the face from behind. She didn't even see her coming. Punches her in the face behind. Now, to me, end of story, she's out. No more, she's gone. Now, what does she do? The girl gets up. She's tough. This chick was tough. I was surprised how tough she was. She was little, but she was a scrapper. She comes back, they start getting into a fight. She pulled her weave off. Which, I always laugh when that happens. She pulled her weave off. It's laying on the floor. Anyway, so of course the girl's like, this ain't over. I know people. You don't know who I know. You don't know me. You don't know where I come from. And starts with all this bullshit. Should have been arrested, exactly. But you know, they had been living together for 3.5 months. So of course they think, oh, well, you know, I'm obligated to be friends. No, you're not obligated to do anything. I almost said it. So, what does this woman do? She doesn't think, wow, what I did was really wrong. Now, the guy and the girl take a vote. Who thinks she needs to be booted? And they were exempt from the vote, and she was exempt from the vote. So there was, I think, 4 people left. Of the 4 people, only 1 person voted to have her leave, even though she was the instigator of everything. So the two people, the guy and the girl, boyfriend, girlfriend, they go and get a hotel room. They're like, I'm not staying here because you don't know what she's going to do, right? Now, in the meantime, she's talking all this smack saying, oh, they were holding me back. Everybody was holding me back. They're always against me. Oh, my God. You know, I could have fought her. You guys held my arms. Blah, 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 blah. And one of the guys comes out and he says, listen, you're a liar. Nobody was holding you back. We were holding both people back. And you had your arms free, and then she had her arms free, and we were trying to pull you apart. It wasn't like we held you and let her punch you and egged her on. That didn't happen. You're lying. Well, of course, she got upset. Now, she had been upset with this guy once before. I have to tell this story because, to me, it's absolutely unfathomable. And I can't believe that not only women, but people can be this way. Not that I haven't had my own instances where I got carried away, but I'm saying it's really crazy what happened. So you could tell there was something between this girl, the violent one, and this guy. He's a nice looking young guy, you know. And I'm not going to say anything about her looks, but he did a couple of things that pissed her off, but she was into him, kind of. So she goes into his room. This is the hypocrisy. She goes into his bedroom, and she's like dropping cereal on him, and like trying to put it in his mouth, and he's just laying there taking it all. And finally, he grabs her. You know, like she's in like skimpy little pants with a half-top shirt on. You know, boobies flying around. And, you know, he's probably got a woody. And she probably likes it. She's laughing. They're laughing. Finally, he's like, stop. You know, it's enough. And so she wouldn't stop. She kept throwing stuff out. So he, like, had some of the cereal in his mouth and spit it at her. You know, just blew it out at her. Oh, she went berserk. So finally, you know, she's huffing and puffing. She's all mad. She leaves. She goes into the other room, but she's talking the whole way as she's walking away. So he, who is irritated, says, I'm going into her room now. He goes into her room, which was a mistake, because he escalated. He goes into her room. Oh, she screamed bloody murder. Oh, my God. Oh, my God, I'm in bed. You're in my room. Oh my! But when she's in his room, it's okay. So I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Now, they didn't go back to the house. I think there was 3 or 4 nights left until they had to leave. They didn't go back. But you want to know why society screwed up? Well, this is one reason. The breakdown of respect. The breakdown of the ability to communicate. You try to communicate with someone and they just haul off and punch you in the face. Boom, they're going to jail. That's how it needs to be. Go to jail and not a $500 fine. Put them in jail for 2 years, 3 years. You're not allowed to do that. You know, there was a guy in boxing, pro boxing. His name, I think it was Richard Grant and James Butler. And this is a guy. They were fighting, and I think Richard Grant was the guy who got punched. They had their fight. I think it was a 10-round fight on ESPN. And Richard Grant is awarded the victory. This guy, James Butler, hauls off and punches him full on in the face. And I don't know if he broke his jaw or, you know, he knocked him out, or I don't remember exactly what happened. But people were like, oh my God, and he was arrested. Now, he had been living with Max Kellerman, the sports announcer. He'd been living with his brother. This guy killed his brother. So, when I say be careful here, first of all, this ain't your culture. You probably don't know diddly squat about it. You know, even guys who are here a year or two, they think they know. They don't know. You know, listen, I haven't talked to Jono in a couple of weeks. I plan on giving him a buzz in the next couple of days, but I would dare say that he's been here 3 years, and while he knows a little bit about the culture, I would dare say he probably doesn't know a whole lot, but he knows enough to keep him. He's smart enough that with the little amount of knowledge he knows, he's not going to have any serious issues. It's not going to happen because he's smart enough. Now, you get some knucklehead who comes over. He's been here a year or two, and he knows, you know, he knows Sawatdee Cop. He knows, you know, that when someone whys you, you know, what it means. He knows a little bit about how to get around, and, you know, you shouldn't talk about certain things here. He knows the absolute basics. Now, you see, here I am here, sitting here. I don't smoke. This guy's got his little vape pen out, smoking, which, of course, is illegal. I'm not a smoker. I don't want to smell it, and I do smell it. Now, am I going to start any trouble? No, I'm not. Now he's back inside, so, you know, what's the point? And what's the point anyway? I'd rather move and not start a problem than start an issue. But there are plenty of knuckleheads out there, and you know who you are. And listen, I'll call you a knucklehead, a chowderhead. I don't have to call you a name. I could say, you know, you make a lot of mistakes. You know, you're a newbie, you're a beginner, a rookie. This guy who paid too much to the girls, first of all, rookie mistake. He made a lot of errors, several errors. Rookie mistake. Anytime you have an interaction with the police, if they start asking for some exorbitant amount of money, you say, I want to go to the police station. Let's go to the station. You're driving without a helmet, they go, give me 3,000 baht. You go, no, take me to the station. Better. It's better that way. Because then they are under scrutiny legally. So, you know, I'm not going to say that I know everything, because I don't. There are certain situations where I'm like, whew, how would I deal with that? That's a tough one. And the guy's situation that I was talking about, it was a tough situation. You got to be there to be able to figure things out. You got to be in the moment. You got to have the feel for what's going on. So, you know, sometimes it's better just to get on out of Dodge, pay your money, and get on out unscathed. And he did. So, you know, say what you will. You know, I'm not here to bash the guy. People make mistakes. I made mistakes when I first come over here, and I still make mistakes. You know, so. But it does pay to be careful. All right? So, I don't really have anything else to talk about. I've said my piece. Hopefully I've helped. I've entertained. I've informed. And, okay, so the guy came back. Motorbike driver just came back. He'd been gone for 2 hours, so. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. And keep an eye out for the videos. I'll probably stream once more before I leave to Sangkhlaburi. I can't wait to go. I might go a little bit early, actually. I don't know. I may be there 5 or 6 days, just because. I'll make sure I'm back for my wife's birthday. Birthday's coming up, so I'll make sure I'm back for that. But it might be good to go there and just to chill, not to be in any hurry at all. It won't cost all that much. You know, like I said, I could probably get a nice little place for about 500, 600 baht a night, maybe 700 a night, which, what's that amount to? 20 bucks? It's not too bad. So, anyway, bare knuckle fights, craziness. I'll put some little stories up in YouTube. I'll put some stuff on Instagram. I'll put some stuff on Facebook. I'll have it everywhere. I do plan on doing a few things, so keep an eye out. And thanks again, and I will talk to you guys later. I will see you when I see you. Until next time, I'm Scott. I'm an American in Bangkok. Chok di Leo Jerken Mai, and thank you, Carnival Chronicles. Again, thank you for many things. Listen, he is the guy who he inspired me to get on the diet that I'm on, or I don't even want to call it a diet. Just to look after myself better. And now I've lost about 35 pounds. So I'm heading towards where I want to be, which is about 160. I don't know if I'm going to get there, but I'm going to try. So, videos to come. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later, all right? See you when I see you.